I love podcasting.
Welcome.
I freaking love it. It's so much fun every day.
We're doing a lot of it this week.
Yeah, this is a lot of podcast episodes this week, gentlemen. Ty, I kind of have been taking advantage of your biting off more than you can chew average quality, because you keep saying yes, like
Dude,
say no
I'm
one of these
so bad
weeks.
At saying no. I'm so bad. That's not my average quality, but it is my average quality. Saying no.
All right, what would be something
horrible
that needs to be X-nayed from what you're doing right now?
I've actually, like, the second half of the summer have started to strike a bit of a better balance. It's all going to be thrown out the window when school starts, though. But I need to just remember to not take, like, what I have going on right now, I just can't say yes to anything else. I just can't, especially, like, free stuff. And some of it's, like, we were just talking to Jay about it, but, like, some of it's cool and stuff that I want to do, but I just don't have the capacity to do it. Like, I'm doing enough cool stuff right now and enough free stuff right now to satiate my, like, creative itch that I don't need to be taking on any more projects.
Nice.
Gotcha.
What is your your question, Andrew?
I was just gonna say, you look great. For if you think you're taking on too much right now, you look great.
Well, thank you.
Fresh haircut, high and tight. Damn, but it's the back to school haircut, isn't it?
It's the back. Yeah, sure. I did want to get it before school started. Dude, I go to Great Clips these days just because that's cheap. I don't know where you guys go.
I went to Great Clips all throughout college, and now there's like just like a barber right here.
Kenwood Barbers. He's got the Backpocket shirt framed in his barber
for real?
shop.
Yeah, we all go there.
Support local.
Oh, that's awesome. That's like when like restaurants have pictures of the famous people that come in.
And it's signed or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I've gone to Great Clips, and the last 2 times I've gotten the same lady, and she's like probably an older. The thing is, like, she'd ask you, how old do you think I am? And you'd say like 50, but she'd just be like an old looking 39. Like, it's
ooh, right? How tough is that?
You know, like a pack of Camels a day hasn't aged her well, sort of a thing.
Yeah.
And she's given me the most, like, I didn't think somebody could possibly care less about giving a haircut. This last time I went, she like outdid herself and how little she cared about that. Like, it turned out well, actually. The first time I was like, I've gotten better haircuts. This time I kind of like the way it turned out. But like, while she was doing it, I'm like, she could care less. Like, it was ridiculous. And then I got home, and like, they do a bad job of like getting the hair like out of, like, I was like shedding hair as I was walking.
Yeah.
That's the worst.
I hate that too. That's why I always jump in the shower afterwards. But then it's just like, I just got my hair cut, and they did this cool thing with it that I can never do. Yeah. So I don't want to take a shower.
The place I go back in Green Bay, it's like a regional chain, but it's called the Barbershop. And they cut your hair, and then they give you like a full wash and condition and everything. So they get it all out, and they give you a nice hot towel on your face. And it's all like $15. And it's like so cheap. And that's what I pay at Great Clips. And I get like Roxanne fucking like giving me a trim for 7 minutes and like, this look good? And they're like, yeah, I guess so. And she's like, slaps you on the ass and gets you out of there.
Roxanne.
But the Police, dude.
Yeah.
Look that song up.
Okay.
All you had to do was Shazam what I was singing right there, for sure.
I let you in.
What constitutes like a bad haircut, you know?
Yeah, well, for me personally, I got like this cowlick in the back of my on the back of my head. So if they don't trim it up to the point of the cowlick, I'll get these stray hairs just flying all around.
Little alfalfa.
Yeah, they can usually tell though, like when I come in, like, oh, he has a cowlick, so they'll cut it a little like higher onto my head just to get rid of it. But there have been times where that doesn't happen, and it's just like a war zone back there. You can't control it.
Are you saying cowlick or colic?
Cowlick.
I don't know, which one is it?
I was told cowlick.
Yeah, it's
a
a
colic.
So have I, but
my grandma told me you get them because when you are born or something, a cow comes in and licks your head, and the hair just sticks that way forever.
Yeah, that's like the origin of the name colic. Is cow? I'm pretty sure it is cowlick. We're saying it wrong, but whatever, dude. Okay. We all know what we're talking about.
That's cool. I learn something new every day.
There you go.
I got a
like
cowlick.
Way cool. I have a massive cowlick.
Do you? What? With
where?
All the hair.
That's what the bald spot is, isn't it?
Oh, you're not balding.
That's just a crop circle.
No, I actually had 2 cowlicks, and that's why it.
You got the wing T formation going on up there.
I have one like right here too. Like when my hair gets long, it's kind of nice because when I like put it to the side, it kind of just like rests on itself.
Yeah.
Deck, you need a haircut. I've noticed. Is that like a conscious choice that you're doing, like growing this lettuce out?
No.
Okay, then you need a haircut.
I know, I'm getting it tomorrow.
Okay.
As we speak. But yeah, dude, I got a colic right here, and I got one right here as well. But yeah, dude, my hair gets crazy when it's
Dude, I didn't realize you posted a picture with your nice like man titties the other day, and I didn't realize how long your hair was. Aside from like the double D's you were sporting in that picture.
Oh yeah, dude.
Your hair was so long.
I was looking rich, dude. Oh, dude, just a nice deluxe,
just hot Stego.
Dude, I put the entire city of Otsego in shambles that day, dude. From that Snapchat alone, wearing those goggles too. Just put them on for the first time, like clearly too tight. I'm like, ugh. That is not it. Great engagement on that Instagram, by the way.
Great engagement.
Anything for the engagement.
Yeah. Anything at this point, right?
Oh yeah. So I took that photo sophomore year, and
that was you.
Yeah, and
PC.
That went viral.
It went viral, dude.
It went viral sophomore year. Everyone was like showing each other on their phone. It was amazing. It's a legendary photo.
Yeah, I wish I had.
It's my photo. It's his photo. When I ever get a call or FaceTime, that's what comes up on my phone.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and many of our friends have the same thing as your bio on their phones.
You got it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Do you have a lot of those pictures for people in your contacts? I was going like little spurts where I'm like, I really want to like clean up how my contacts look, and I was like putting in pictures, but then I get to a point where like half of them do, half of them don't, and whatever.
I'm the same way. There's like a good amount that I have it in there. It's just like it's fun and all, but then the majority of them don't.
Mm-hmm.
I wish it was like back in the day, when you logged onto your Mac, you get to choose like a little icon. Like I just wish like a soccer ball popped up for Ty or something, just something like that.
Sure. Well,
so you can just kick them around, or
yeah, exactly, dude. Just give them a nice swift, instep.
Yeah. Well, it would be cool if you could like set it for yourself and then have that show up for everybody else. A cool move I've seen people do is like when we're like networking or something, like you give them your phone number and they'll send you their contact card. And on Apple, at least, when you have a contact card, you can load up with all the information, including the picture. And then when you send it, you get this person's contact card. You just click add contact, and then all that information automatically gets put into your phone, including the picture.
Yeah, Caleb has something like that.
Yeah, it sounds like something Caleb would have for sure.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Oh, that's kind of nuts.
So you're gonna get a hahaircut though, right?
Yeah, getting a haircut at Kenwood tomorrow. I had to schedule like a week in advance. I mean, the guy's Paul's pretty. Paul is pretty stacked. He's always got guys coming in and out.
I love this move of you grabbing your hair and
Dude, that's a cocky move. I mean, that's something that
I was doing it all during my comedy bit. Just
confidence.
this.
I did notice.
I'm
like, that's a little tick, like a little like
it's
a nervous tick. Yeah, that's why I lost, for sure.
They were like, this guy keeps grabbing his hair.
They're like, this freaking like southern looking starting quarterback for Ole Miss. He doesn't find a spot in comedy. Yeah. No way.
You went there. Wow.
What do you think? That's
starting quarterback for Ole Miss right now?
Backup quarterback. Sorry, like third string, maybe a walk-on at Ole Miss. I think is really like the vibe haircut I got going on. If it was like straight, for sure.
It's your hair. You look at it every day.
Yeah,
I know you stare. I've seen you stare at yourself in the mirror an awfully lot longer.
Like recently?
Recently.
Yeah. Ooh. I just like
I just like walk past the bathroom and just Declan and just fucking it's
tongue
out.
Just the best. My favorite is when
dude.
It's like like those player cards, like when they're like Carl Anthony Towns, you like looks up, like that's just me, dude. Like I just look up and I'm like.
Do you think the hair has something to do with your like bravos or your like machismo, or just how confidently you carry yourself?
Yeah, he's big dicking us with his hair.
Yeah,
I'm big dicking us, just like you always big dick us with all your words. I always love why you like play around. You're like like I don't know what word I'm gonna use, so I'm gonna throw out 3 synonyms of each other, and Declan and Andrew don't know any of them.
Machismo.
You gotta say it more Italian next time.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, and I get shit for this all the time. Is I hang out, and I want to preface this: you guys are not dumb guys, but I hang out from time to time with people that are smarter than me. Again, you're not dumb guys. I think you're smarter than me in a lot of there's no way of saying that doesn't sound bad, okay?
Oh yeah, dude, sure.
Hey, so you're looking at 2 guys right here that aren't smart?
Have only been called dumb guys this entire time we've been doing this podcast. So.
Yeah.
In any case, I hang out with people that are smarter than all of us. Let's just go with that, okay? And I'll say word, and I'll try to mingle in some words like I do here, and I'll say words like an egregious like misplacement of a word. Like I'll put a word in, and I'm like, I'm not entirely sure what it means, but I think it means like this, and then I'll just throw it in a sentence and see what happens. And when I'm hanging out with some of these smart people, they don't let it fly, and they're like, that doesn't mean that. And I have like a couple of my roommates are very smart and smarter than me in a lot of ways. And if I like try to slip in a word and like I like butcher it, I can't remember the last time I used a word that was like it kind of meant what I was trying to say, but not really at all. And they're just like, what are you trying to do? And it's definitely like a case of me just trying to sound smart and then not actually being that smart.
Yeah, start keeping tabs on yourself, because I would love to get a word in there.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to go on record and say, though, like, as much as many dumb things that Declan says on this podcast, the kid is very, very, very smart when it comes to things that you don't hear. So in the English language, backseat of the car. Sometimes they even get a ride into the car.
Okay.
But
doesn't make the cut.
doesn't make the cut. But when it comes to like equations or something that you need to figure out, like, what needs to, I don't even know. You give the examples, but you're wicked smart in things that I don't even think about ever.
A good example was the knowing more about guitar than actually being able to play it. So,
this is a good example.
Yeah, Andrew was complimenting me on this the other day when I was like talking about like Jimi Hendrix and like how he plays like a guitar solo.
We were talking Johnny Cash.
Yeah. And how great guitar soloists will, have a scale that they'll play in within the rhythm of the song. So if it's like an E scale, that is a scale that spans the entire length of the guitar, mostly all the frets, and once you memorize that and know where they are, you can kind of play around with the rhythm of the song. But great guitar soloists, such as Jimi Hendrix or input a lot of different people, will actually escape the scale, is what they call it. And so then they will play a note that is in the scale, then play a quick note out of it to then transition into a new one. So when you hear, it's just being more creative with telling the story of the solo.
And you said all that without being able to play the guitar.
No, I played guitar for I still play guitar. I'm not like great at it. I keep up with it every once in a while, but
he's better at explaining the highest level of guitar than actually being able to play the highest level.
Like, I can play the E scale, but that's about it.
Yeah.
So
I just wanted to hype up my my co-host here after you try to shoot us both down. I wanted one of us to stand taller.
Yeah. By the way, who are you hanging out with? Like, are you hanging out with Elon Musk or
Brent Musburger?
Musburger. Yeah.
Good. Like Vern Longquest.
There's some smart cats out there.
And Stephen A. Smith.
There's some smart dudes. Stephen A. Smith has a pretty good vocabulary, I will say.
Yeah, I just named all sports analysts.
But do you understand?
That's your problem. Of like,
no. Those guys are the people that I'm thinking are hanging out with you because they all have great vocabulary.
They do have great vocabulary. I think Stephen A. Smith gets away with some things just because he just says it when he says it like a big word, he really like he puts a little
the emotion
gravitas behind it. So
my God, what the hell is that word? Gravitas.
Oh, there was one word that I wanted to say with our man's Jay Christensen in here. Creme de la creme. Is that the phrase?
Yeah.
Dang it. I panicked and I was like, that's not it. And I don't want to go through the
how are you going to use it?
He made the red comment how the red camera is the best camera in Hollywood for shooting, and then he made the drone comment, but he didn't follow it up with like, this is the best one. And I was like, oh, is the drone one also the creme de la creme?
Dude,
I should have fucking done it. I pussied out.
That's all right. Next time.
You know what? I was watching this like video of this dude and like on YouTube, some random video that popped up on my home screen, and he was like in France, but he spoke like he's American. He spoke really good English, but then he would just throw in, this is like next level from what I do. He just threw in random French words, and you're like, holy shit, this dude's like a genius.
Yeah.
Like he will say something, and then the last word of the sentence, he'll say the French word, like he'll say the French pronunciation or translation of the word, and it'll be like, holy crap.
Ah, the language of love.
And then it makes you feel smart because you understand what he's saying because he did the whole sentence and the last word was in French. But at the same time, it makes him look even smarter because you're like a drop of the hat. He can switch into French.
That's major BDE.
Meanwhile, I'm just like spending a lot of time writing jokes on not being able to spell the word hors d'oeuvres, and that's also French. People forget about that. I think that's like one of the.
Yeah, why don't you just use snacks?
Yeah, we're not doing this here. Not here, dude. But it is kind of funny how, like, to even go back to the Jay thing real quick, is like he was very impressed with how we speak, which I don't know if anybody's ever given us that compliment.
Yeah, that was a good question by him. I like that.
Like, where'd you guys learn how to speak? Well, we've been fucking around for 2.5 years.
Oh, I didn't think it was so much like a speaking thing. I thought it was more of a like probing, like question thing. I didn't think it was so much about how you deliver what you say. It's like, how do you come up with the things that you say? Because I think that is hard for people to get. He even used the term dimensional with their conversations of like asking questions that elicit better responses than just about the weather, or just asking things that anybody could look and see, like, when did you start flying drones? That sort of stuff.
Yeah, things that they don't fit in the place when you ask them. Yeah. They have like a sequential theme where it's diving deeper. Is that dimensions, right?
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, that was fun. I loved that part of it. Yeah, dude.
Is it funny that this Never Peak logo has a peak on it?
Has a false peak on it.
Is that what it is?
Like a peak in front of the actual peak? That's what you're pointing at, right?
That's the logo. So like the logo is a peak and it says Never Peak. Mm-hmm. Is that funny that I use a peak, or is this logo a false peak?
Maybe.
Oh man, now I'm getting kind of confused.
We'll have to ask Gabe Malinsky.
Like it says Never Peak.
Yeah.
However, there's a peak right here.
Oh. Wait. Okay. Now my logo thing of saying that's a false peak actually might be his intention.
It's got to be that.
Yeah. Right. I hope it is.
Maybe it's like an arrow. They keep going up.
No, I think it's a false peak.
Okay.
We'll go with that.
Do you know what a false peak is, at least?
It's just it looks like the peak, but then there's more peak like behind it.
You get to it and you're like, oh, are you getting close enough? And it's like, oh, there's a bigger peak.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's
it's pretty intuitive. Like,
yeah, no,
I put that together, dude. Let's just give Andrew the credit there.
Yeah,
snaps.
Andrew's snaps for Andy. Also, but who are you actually hanging out with? For a 20-year-old to say, "Oh, you guys aren't dumb guys. I just hang out with a lot of smart people." At the age of 20.
Yeah.
Are you? I mean,
a lot of my friends I just consider to be very smart, and they are, and a lot of different. I think it's kind of cool. A lot of my friends are they're smart. They're smarter than me in different ways, and some of them I have to be careful when I say that, because they'll just take the nuance out of it and be like, "Oh, you said that I'm smarter than you," because I think a lot of people think I carry myself around with a lot of like confidence, where everybody's like, "Oh, Tyler thinks he's the smartest guy in the room," and I don't. I like to think sometimes I have good things to say, but there are people that are smart. Like I have a friend, Nick Hammer. Shout out Nick. He won't listen to this probably, but he is probably one of the best vocabularies I know. And if you think I weave in words, like he's really good with it. Sometimes he's a little obnoxious about it, where he's like, "You wanted me to notice that you use that big word," but at the same time, he's really good with it. My other friend Sam, I think Deck, you and my friend Sam would get along pretty well, because a lot of just the topics you bring up, he's like the kind of guy who just asks like what if questions for days. He literally has a note like in his notes in his phone, just questions that are hard to answer that he'll just whip out at any time if conversation's running dry, and he'll just like start shooting away questions about like what, like just the most profound things you can think about,
like more philosophical.
Usually philosophical. Some of them are like kind of stupid, like how many holes does a straw have, sort of a thing. But
is water wet?
Right. But a lot of them are also very philosophical. He's also very into like he has this thing where he wants to live in like a tiny home someday.
Oh, one hole.
So if Nick Hammer doesn't,
shut up, bro. The delay on that was.
Oh, I was on. All
right, that was good timing, dude. I liked what you did there.
I was the dumb one there.
Yeah, sure were, dude. You should. I mean, if Nick Hammer's not going to listen, by the way, wow, just realizing how great of a name Nick Hammer is. Oh, wow.
He's also on the Ultimate Frisbee team at Minnesota. Ultimate Frisbee.
Oh no, dude.
I'm out.
Get him back in.
I'm back.
Are you back?
Yeah, I'm back. I can hear myself.
Holy shit,
dude, that was crazy.
Connect him to the internet so we're not seeing that thing anymore.
I was podcasting too hard, or turn it off. He's on the Ultimate Frisbee team, and Ultimate Frisbee culture is like the nicknames that they have are insane. He once told a story which started out, me, Cash, Beef, and Rondo were all walking back. And that's just their names. And they call him Hammer because his last name is Hammer.
Of course.
And they got him like this sweet chain that had like a hammer on it, like a pendant. So he plays it up sometimes.
Wow.
It's great.
That's very cool.
That's sick.
That's very neat.
And
that's super cool.
Andy, how's your day? Because you don't seem to care about anything that I just said. I did ramble on for a while, so my apologies.
My day was good. A very productive day.
Okay.
I've been loving this week, and I'm very excited that we're here shooting the shit on the back end show with you again, because it's been, I think, 3 weeks since.
It's been a while.
My ankle's still in the same spot it was when we left, I think.
Dude, you got to rehab that thing.
I know. I've been doing my one-legged balancing more every day. but I rolled out a ton today and it got a lot looser. So
good.
I'm taking baby steps. But I'm going to jump into my average quality because this plays into how my week's been going and kind of the previous week as well. My average quality has been handling the short patience that I've been presented with my co-host in the past week and a half. I think I've had a great I've handled it with a lot of gratitude in the sense of he's putting in these long hours and I need to just breathe and roll with his short-ended responses. And other times I get very angry that he's being short with me and he is like in and out. So my average quality is my patience with my co-host as he's battling a tough time of exhaustion. And he's pushing him to his limits and I have not been great. So this is a moment where Ty and I would like to bring in a little intervention and ask Deck, how are you doing?
Oh, not good. Clearly. I have been burning myself out, and I have been short with Andrew, and that's all very true. So I was thinking about that today because, oh, this is great. There are times with Andrew and I where Andrew is confident that something doesn't work, and I will walk in and fix it very quickly, and then usually hang out and, give him shit for it or just like show him how it actually works. But last night was a great example of being short, being a dick, and challenging Andrew's patience.
On your part.
On my part, yeah. This is all me addressing this. And it was just basically like Andrew was saying he couldn't upload a video more than 100 megabytes to Sprout to post on social media. And I was like, not true. Like, let me show you how to do it. And then it worked. And before it even like finished downloading and he dropped it in there and like to see if it would actually work, I was like, all right, good night, dude. See ya. I'm sorry, man. I was just burnt. I am burnt out right now, to be honest. Totally burnt out. So.
Yeah, and there's times where I'm like, all right, I know he's fucking just dead. So I'm just going to like let him walk all over me and then just like forget about it. And then there's other times where I want to battle him and it's just like, all right, now this is just fucking brutal and we're just gonna bang heads and we're both irritated at this point and we're both grabbing our hair and fucking doing that this, fucking dude. Weird thing that you always do.
We're doing this and we're just both in our heads just going, oh, for fuck's sake, dude. Like, god damn it. Like, ugh, brutal. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, what do you guys suggest like I do to avoid some burnout? Because I have a few ideas, but I want to hear from you first.
Slow down when you get home. I know you have to be in this like go, go, go mentality, but just like slow down for a second.
I think like short term between the two of you, at least, this doesn't avoid burnout, but you can sort of identify like if you come storming into like his room or something, you can be like, look, I've had a long day, and just like verbalize it. From a third party's perspective. That's something I know I don't do well a lot of times, where I'll kind of carry the weight of something on my shoulders and take it out on other people. And I think it's just good if they can identify that, like, maybe you can't help him feel less burnt out, but at least you can know that it's not your fault that he's being mad at you, sort of a thing. So you don't also have to carry the burden of what he's carrying around. But like I said, that's a short-term thing.
Yeah. And I think that's also on me too, to like, because of the go, go, go mentality, I will breeze over like if I am feeling like that I need to address it, because I'm like, whatever, on to the next thing. So that's a great point. Also, if you're just giving me shit about it, just be like, Dex, slow down, you dumb idiot. That would be like a wake up call for sure, because that's what it takes a lot of times. I'm like the most. I am at times I'm the most self-aware person, but at times I'm the least self-aware person.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, and here's another like very one-off example that really is meaningless, but is hilarious to me. Is yesterday when Deck just stomped on me when we played NCAA 14. Is it 14?
14. Yeah.
NCAA
best football game of all time.
On Xbox 360, and Deck just stomped on me, and I was just trying to score a late touchdown for fun, and I threw a pick six, or I think I ended up tackling him, but he intercepts the ball and he goes, should have thrown it to the fullback, you dumb bitch. and just runs it for another like 30 yards. And I might have tackled him. I think the time ran out or whatever. But I just like looked over at him and you could see the exhaustion in him when he fucking made that. It wasn't even like he was like, he made that pick and it was just like a great play, or he was just like, I fucking ran train on you. This was meaningless, you dumb bitch. And I was just like, dude, fuck, man. Like, I finished this game. I tried not to be like a sore loser, and you just run on. You just got to say that to finish the game. That wasn't very nice.
It wasn't nice at all.
Is St. Thomas in that game?
No.
Oh, that'd be so cool.
You can upload the team if you want.
I'm sure you can.
Yeah.
If someone created them, like we did I always had my high school team when I played high school football.
Yeah,
someone on our team would always create every player.
Yeah.
God, that game is amazing.
Mm.
Yeah. I think my schedule is a big issue in terms of why I've been acting like a dingleberry. To put it, use creative words, Ty.
To put it lightly.
To put it lightly. Yeah, I mean,
you've gotten dried out, dude.
Yeah, I'm fucking sun dried, dude.
You're sun dried.
I got put in Josh Scheffner's like new little.
There.
Oh,
You're
dude.
Oh, you gotta rip it off, bro.
Yeah, I gotta
Else you're gonna
freaking
get some chafing.
low hanging fruit, dude. Get it out.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But what about your schedule? Just a brutal schedule.
It's just nuts. It's like,
I'd like a good definition of burnout, and I think this might be a good way to analyze what's happening, is when the reward of what you're doing or the value that you perceive of what you're doing doesn't equal the input of what you're putting in. So under that definition, what are things that you're doing that you don't feel like the output basically is matching the input?
Waking up at 4 a.m. to go to work and having to be there because we're pouring concrete at 5, so I need to make sure all my ducks are in a row with the people that are pouring the concrete before we pour. Like, we're at the point in the job where like we have 20 pours left out of the 800 pours, so everybody showing up has got this thing figured out, so I don't need to be there and gas myself from, because the thing is, like, most of the bulk of my work that I get done where input equals output is from noon to 4. In the morning, it's I show up and it's Declan do this, Declan do that, hey man, put this fire out, hey, we need to talk about this. I'm not getting anything done that's like on my short checklist, essentially. So I wish I could just show up later or get a workout in and like relieve myself of all my angst. But at the same time, like, I'm also thinking about the podcast, right? That's always on my mind too. So I'm trying to figure out who's going to be coming on the show, like making sure we're booked out through a certain amount of time. I always will stress myself out about that. But then when you add in the fact that like I'm getting probably 4 hours of sleep every night, I'm practicing comedy, staying out late every single night to try and deliver good bits about, hors d'oeuvres. And then also on top of that, putting together podcasts and everything, like, yeah, it's a fuck ton of work, man.
Yeah.
So, and it's just the point in time in the job, right? So like our job, my time with this job is going to be done around probably January, and then I'll move on to a different job. So we're in like the closeout stage where you need all the gas you got to finish this thing out. So I would say that's probably the root cause.
Interesting.
Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, I think it's tough too when your like primary. So I think the easiest way to obviously measure value or like output is money, and when your main source of money is coming from something that maybe isn't your main source of like joy or however you want to put it, I think that's probably a tough balance to have to strike. And
for sure.
Yeah, I mean it's tough, especially when you're thinking about it all the time too, and you're just kind of like you don't want to be there all the time. Yeah, it's difficult for sure.
Yeah, like of course I want to take like Backpocket full time, but it's also just like not pissing me off, but knowing it's just a long process. Like, yeah, we have goals to get advertisers by end of August, and we're like not even close. But in the sense of, close is that end result of finally like closing on one. We're on it, like getting there and trying to figure it out. But like, I need to be spending time on getting on those kind of things. Yeah. Right. I really only have enough time right now to be producing a podcast, turning out the content, but I don't have a lot of time with figuring out the valuation of Backpocket, figuring out what's our next move in terms of like a party and event. I haven't even given any of that a thought. Figuring out, advertisers, what's our best avenue, what things will be most beneficial where we're not like breaking our backs for like $100, right? So there's just like all these different things that are swirling in my head of like, how can we do this? all in like the limited time, then factoring in the fact that like I am trying to compete in comedy stuff right now and like hitting open mics like crazy, and this closeout stuff for work. It's insane.
Yeah.
Wow. So thanks, Andrew. I'll try and be better. I'm trying to figure out ways to just mitigate, because it sounds like I just got to cut one out.
No, I think you just have a lot of open-ended questions or like needs, and they're never going to be figured out. Like none of those things are going to be answered tomorrow by any of that. And you're trying to figure it's just the nature of everyone. Like I go through that every day, and Ty goes through it every day. We're all talking about how we overextend ourselves and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And the need to have an answer to something, or the need to just have it like off your shoulders or something like just moved, is something that you just got to like fucking write down or something, or just like the things that you're like most scared about with the podcast or most like excited about or something. You got to say it. You can't just like walk into my room and say fucking 200 milligram or 200 megabytes or whatever of Sprout can be uploaded there. Good night. And like be pissed about me asking you that or something.
Oh, I wasn't
just
mad. I was just like, I gotta go to bed.
Exactly. But there's other things that you're like probably going through, like, Andrew, if you can't figure this out, we got to be doing this at this level or something.
Sure.
You just got to say it, man.
Yeah.
Like
radical transparency.
I don't know. Since I've been trying to do that more frequently, I have just a lot more of just like, all right, my day is clean. Like my boss knows everything that I'm going through right now. You know everything that I'm going through right now, and the people closest around me know everything about me. I'm not a person hiding behind a closed door. Yeah. Which feels very good, because I was trying to hide for so long, and now I'm just like, dude, I'm not. This is my life. And this,
open book.
Oh, I'm an open book.
Yeah, that's a good point. I feel like I've definitely. It's not that I haven't shielded myself. I guess I've just like.
You think pushed you can a lot do it all?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've just like pushed a lot of stuff to the side. Like, oh, I'll get that figured out later, or this. And there's just so much going on that it boils over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
You know, like the concept of like an infinite game versus a finite game. Like it's
like football's a finite game.
It's a Simon Sinek thing, and apparently he used the example of like the Cold War or like a lot of wars that America has been in. But football, for example, would be a finite game, and like an infinite game. I'm trying to think. Like
the Backpocket podcast.
The Backpocket podcast would be like an infinite. So like I'm talking about like contextualizing it in your life. I think it'd be helpful to like identify, okay, what's finite and what's infinite, because that really dictates how much like effort that you need to be putting into something, or just a whole like. So the Backpocket, I would say, is probably an infinite game. So I think you have to realize that the small things, like Andrew calling you into his room, like, or for example, not that this has happened, but like if you can't get a post out like one day, it's like, okay, that's not the end of the world, because we're not playing a finite game. You know, it's not like a football game where if I don't score this touchdown, I don't win. If you don't put this post out, it's not like you don't win the Backpocket. Like it's an infinite game. Whereas something maybe like your job, you know, you have to get that task done, because if you don't, there's a more direct result. Like, oh, maybe you get fired or you get disciplined somehow. So I think identifying those things too might be helpful to know. Like, okay, you know, comedy. If I don't go to this open mic, that means it doesn't mean I'm not going to be a comedian, because that's an infinite game. So that may be something to think about too.
Yeah, and and you know what? That's really a great point, because I've like I get in these situations where like if I don't do it this way, then I'm not going to get the same result. So like when I did super well from my first competition round, like I went to an open mic every single night, had to dial in a joke by the end of it. Best feeling of my life. I was like, that was so awesome. So worth it, everything, input, output. But to the same degree, like, I need to be looking at it more of like, comedy is an infinite game. I don't have to go every single night to put out a good, 3-minute bit or whatever it is on Thursday.
Yeah. Or if you do throw out a bad one, it's like, oh, sweet.
Oh, well, right? Next one up.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
So that's not
I like that.
That's that, and I love that, because that's like the symbolic of the better way of phrasing of every day I have a chance to win.
Yeah.
If you look at it as an infinite game.
Well, look it up. Simon Sinek, infinite game. He explains it far better than I do, but you get the premise.
Right on, man. I love your Simon Sinek reference. What's your average quality, Ty?
Dude, okay. So my average quality, I think, and I kind of have been picking this up lately, is been like identifying like what some of my not nervous tics, but just like habits are. And one big one is like, okay, this is part of it. Big one is like picking up my phone, and this happens a lot during work, I've noticed a lot this summer, is I'm kind of killing my productivity because I'll be just like typing, and then like I'll, like just a habit is just like reaching over and looking at my phone, and then there's a whole thing about screen time obviously, but then you open it up and like you accomplish nothing by opening your phone in that instance, and it kills a bunch of time, and all of a sudden you get sucked in or whatever. So I'm trying to try to consciously not do that, because I shouldn't be doing it during class or all these sorts of things. And it's not like driving, like it's just bad. So today I kind of had the idea of like a lot of times when I'm like in meetings and stuff, and I'll have like a rubber band by my desk or something, I'll just kind of play it up, like pick it up and kind of fiddle with it. I'm like, okay, maybe it's something I can do of just having one around my wrist a lot of the time. And you've seen me do it here. Maybe it's a little obnoxious. Like maybe don't do it that extremely.
I love it.
But like,
I think it's hilarious.
Just something that it's not like something that I can occupy myself with. And I even think about it when I'm in this podcast too. Like there'll be times where like I'll get a text during the podcast and I'll kind of like pull it up, and then all of a sudden like I'm out of the conversation, and I like to be able to be in the conversation.
Ooh.
So anything that can kind of keep like the physical, I don't know if it's a left brain right thing, but like anything that can keep the motor functionality engaged while I can listen, because that's the best part about podcasts, is that you can be doing something else while you're listening. I just need to make sure that that other thing isn't me being on my phone.
That's great. And I love that you're picking up the rubber band and not picking up chewing.
I know. This might be the thing. No, I'm also a big gum chewer. I just haven't, for some reason, bought gum in a while, so maybe I need to get back into that.
Gum, yeah.
But the rubber band's kind of like...
Don't chew tobacco.
Don't chew tobacco.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Is it like cool? Like it looks kind of cool, but like I'm too like scared to try. Like,
don't try. You'll get a sweet head rush, but I'm quitting. I made that yesterday.
Oh, you chew?
A lot.
Oh, really?
Andrew throws in chaws, or had thrown in chaws.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Really?
Well,
we
I'm
don't
not chewing on the
podcast. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't need to do that.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say? Crap.
Oh, the spitting seeds, but you can't really do that all the time in a professional setting.
Yeah. My when I was working with Caleb today, the Facebook was being super slow, and twice we like both looked at like when it was loading, we both grabbed our phones and we're like scrolling, and we're like, we're not doing anything. Like
right.
It's, and then like that little break right there creates this like the need to grab your phone. It's like, don't do that
all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your need to like always be doing something, always be distracted. That's, I mean, that's the same thing that I do when my computer's slow or something at work. I'll have it, but I noticed, and I think I've said this on the podcast before, but if I like really need to get something done and my phone's out, I would just like simply turn it over.
Dude, I just broke
my frick, dude.
Okay. Playing around with it too much.
I gotta get another.
That's why they sell like a bag of 500 of them.
That's my other concern. I'm like, I'm gonna break it.
Get a thick one, dude.
Dude, I'm gonna show up with like a whole sleeve of rubber bands just so I just break them.
Don't sleep with it on though. I don't want our intern to lose his left arm.
Oh, that'd be horrible.
Circulation.
Yeah. You wake up with a blue arm and says you can't show up to podcast.
Yeah, like,
that's the worst.
What do you mean? Like it rolls up to like up here or something?
No, it rolls up to like.
It
could be like right even to here.
Just wake up with a sick bicep pump.
Yeah, sure.
That dangly arm.
Our intern with a nub, but he's so good behind the mics.
It hurts my OBS ability. I'm just.
No, you gotta be like this, dude.
Yeah.
Nose. I think it would be your nose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Also, check out like what apps are notifying you and whether or not you see value in that.
Yeah, I turn off notifications for like all social media. Like I just don't have those on. But like I don't even need notifications to go on my phone. Is it?
Yeah, I've noticed like Facebook and LinkedIn are like the king of like notifying you for shit that doesn't matter.
Just the stupidest shit.
Like especially like commenting on a LinkedIn post and then all of a sudden it's like, this person and 39 others commented on it too.
Yeah,
it's like dude, don't care.
Yeah. Oh, that is the worst notification you can get.
Right.
Or like so and so, like on Twitter, I remember when I had it on, it was like so and so and like other people liked this tweet, and I'm like,
I don't care.
Like cool, like I guess no, like it's just all dumb.
Yeah. So I just eliminating as much notifications as you possibly can. What helps as well.
What I've been doing is just keeping my phone on Do Not Disturb more. So like because there'll be times where like group chats pop off, or even you'll get like one text message and it just like don't always super matter.
Yeah.
Like, you're like, oh, I want to respond right away, but like they don't matter. And I think it puts me more in control of when I look at my phone, because when I have notifications like coming through, because then I have like my watch and everything, and it's like I feel beholden to my phone to like every time I get something, even if I'm not gonna address it, like I look at it and I'm like, ooh, I get that temptation.
Yeah.
So having on Do Not Disturb is like gives me the power back to like when I want to look at my phone, I'll look at my phone.
There you go. Make the actual intention and when you do make that intention, you're actually probably going to get something done.
Yeah.
Whereas like if you just pick up your phone and you got a blank canvas of to-do lists on your phone, then you're just going to go and look at Backpocket posts on Instagram.
That's how I spend most of my time.
Classic.
Yeah.
Especially when we tag you in every post, dude.
Dude, I was gonna say that. If you looked at, I like looking at people's tag posts, and if you look at mine, it's just the Backpocket feed is all it is.
Love it.
There'll be like a couple of my friends, but it's like, man, that's kind of a move I picked up recently. Is like looking at somebody's tag post is kind of telling about like who they are, because they can have whatever Instagram feed that they want, but if they're not like tagged with a bunch of people, you're kind of like suspect of like, do these people have friends? Do they like? Do people like them?
Ooh, or just a more authentic version of them. Like we all know the people
like
who put this facade up.
Yeah.
But if they're just like tagged in some like bar night out on a Saturday, dude, that's their true form, you know?
Yeah. And for me, it's just the Backpocket.
And then for Ty, it's just like, well, I guess this kid does podcasting for this other thing called the Backpack Kids or something.
Yeah, it's the highest quality tagged thing section I bet anybody ever has. Like you look at it and there's just all these thumbnails and it's like
super organized and everything.
Where am I? Yeah.
I got scared one time because I thought I was looking through our feed, but it was my own tagged, and I was like noticing our tiles were all off. I was like, oh my God, what's going on? I was like, oh wait, we don't tag ourselves in our IGTVs, so they will not show up here.
Yeah.
So dumb, but I love it. I love it. Is it my turn?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be brief so we can get on with our what did we learn, because we got hell of lots of things to unpack there. My average quality, no brainer here, dude. My hair, bad. Anytime I get my hair cut and like I look in the mirror again, like looking at myself in the mirror far too often, when I do that after I get my hair cut, I'm like, God, dude, why did I wait this long?
Yeah.
Why did I wait this long?
What's your go-to cut? Like when you go on, what do you tell them to do?
5 on the sides and then just like
a 5
clips.
That's so long.
Clips on the top, dude, and then I think I'm gonna leave a little bit more lettuce on top this time. See what happens.
You should just go like 2 on the sides and just leave it all on top.
Don't do a fade.
No,
he's got a lot of hair.
Yeah,
he looks good when it's
5 on the sides.
He doesn't do like a high and tight look. It's like a haircut.
Yeah, this is a 2, like what you see on the sides.
That's like the industry standard haircut. That's what I get.
Yeah,
I mean now I don't have enough hair to get that haircut. I just say just clean it up.
Please give me more.
Do some maintenance. Pull the weeds.
Exactly. Trim the bush.
Be careful now.
Yeah. Oh man, that's all. Yeah, hair is your average quality. And then you're gonna improve tomorrow, right?
Exactly.
Kenwood. Shout out Kenwood.
Shout out Kenwood Barber. Love that guy, Paul. He's phenomenal. If you're in the Uptown area, go get your haircut at Kenwood.
Nice.
Absolutely.
It's phenomenal.
And what did you learn, Deck?
I learned that people are giving TikTok a lot of hype.
Are you talking with Piff going to the VMAs?
I mean, that was super cool. That was super cool.
That was insane.
It's like, what? He's on the red carpet
wearing that.
Oh, dude, you have to if you're him.
You got to.
I was like, I definitely want to just be like podcaster Declan, just looking like with my Lion shirt, like, like I would love that. But that's what Piff did, which I was super stoked about. But even before that, I saw this post, like, they're on LinkedIn, like so many different people will hype up like TikTok, like, oh, TikTok's the next thing, and it's like, take it with a grain of salt. As
people
always
do that on LinkedIn.
Dude,
I fucking hate those people on LinkedIn that like hype up. They're like, oh, like they're gonna make TikTok. Like, who's on TikTok is fucking 13 to 15-year-olds. They don't care about your B2B marketing strategy.
But
don't give me that.
Here's what I'm not gonna stand on my high horse and talk about what people say on LinkedIn. But when I saw Gary V, was like, you need a TikTok tomorrow, I was like, oh no, because it went through my head. I was like, TikTok's, what Ty just said, TikTok's stupid. It's for little kids. I don't want to be going like on TikTok to get kids to engage.
I think like the people on LinkedIn that talk about it, they're kind of stupid.
Do they know what they're talking about?
Yeah.
But then when I saw the Gary V thing on LinkedIn, and then like a couple other people talk about it, I was like,
so do we need to be on LinkedIn?
I think Backpocket.
So that's my thing.
I think it plays.
Do you think it does?
Okay, here's the thing.
That was my question, and what I could potentially learn is, does Backpocket play on TikTok?
You have to have a value proposition, like for any platform.
Sure.
And these people that are on LinkedIn pushing TikTok, like when you look at their TikToks, it's just
so bad.
It's just them doing the things that are already happening, and it's like you're just a less entertaining version of what's you're just a copycat of what's happening. Like you being on TikTok and hopping on all these trends isn't enough. Like
Right.
you have to have a unique sort of value proposition and remember, like 12 to 18-year-olds primarily are going to want. And it's not some like 30-year-old white dude like doing stupid dances or whatever. Like there needs to be there needs to be some unique thing. I think that the Backpocket has some, like I haven't seen anybody do that. And I don't even know if it would work. And like you have to think about like
the content we push on Instagram in shorter variations with more flair could work on TikTok. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I would look. Your only like North Star would be Gary Vee, like what he's doing, and he's just pushing a lot of the content that he has already and putting it on TikTok. And I think that's an okay strategy. It's not working super well to my knowledge, just because it's like, again, 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds.
Yeah.
So you'd have to do something. We can talk about it later because I have a lot of thoughts on TikTok and I know it pretty well. But like, it's interesting. There just have to be some sort of value prop there.
Right. And like combining both your ideas, or both of what you're saying is like, it needs to have some sort of value proposition, and can we use the content that we're already creating? I think there is a potential there for sure.
Mm-hmm.
It just, what is the value? Like, we know what TikTok's platform is, and we know the people that go on it.
Yeah.
How do we want to reach to those people?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's TikTok's biggest value, is they have insane engagement and all this stuff.
Dude, it's stupid.
So
it's insane.
With that being said, like that's my next question or brainstorm session is like, what content in this insanely incredible content archive that is Backpocket, we can take 2 or 3 videos or even just stuff in the past that we've already produced and just test.
Yeah.
So we have a ton of stuff.
My first thought is, like when you like have like gifts of yourself, like you follow that sort of mindset of pulling out things that you wouldn't necessarily put this conversation on TikTok and like cut in between all of us, but just in vertical form. Like you'd have to read between the lines in a lot of your content and say, this is funny or valuable for a reason besides what you're saying.
Right.
Like it's going to have to be dynamic in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's where it would work. Like if you're making a funny face or something, and it's like, maybe it is a 5-second snippet of a conversation, but then it's a zoomed in vertical of Deck's face, like just making a stupid face or something. Right. And
then you'd put a meme little tag over it, like when mom's spaghetti is cold.
Right.
That
sort of mindset.
Mom spaghetti in the M&M in the background. Yeah. Of course.
The content's not valuable for just what you said in the clip.
Correct. Yeah, we can't post like the normal, like,
you can't repurpose what you're doing and put it 1-to-1 on it.
Yeah, no, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah, no.
All right, cool. Thanks. Got my answers there. Andrew, what'd you learn, dude?
So since we've last done a What'd You Learn, I finished Shoe Dog.
Oh.
And
I gotta read that.
It's hilarious. I got that for Christmas, and I finally read it here in July. Started in July. Proctoring in July, and then I finished it nearly by proctoring in August. So I was pretty pumped. I read a book in a month. That was like a big accomplishment for me.
That's big.
Not a huge reader, and just becoming a bookworm over here. Sick brag by Andy.
Look at him go with all his new words.
I learned. Is a perfect transition with what you brought up with Finite game. Shoe Dog, Phil Knight playing a finite game. An infinite game rather of Nike. I mean, it was an insane story of the word Nike is not used in the book until I think it was like page 146. And when it used it, then it wasn't even in terms of the company Nike. And then Nike becomes what it was. I think it was like 13 years after he started selling shoes was when he created Nike. So like it took him 13 years to become what Nike was. And even then when he started Nike, it wasn't what it was. He had this company called Blue Ribbon for 13 years, and it was him selling shoes for a separate company called Tiger. And just the trials and tribulations in that. I mean, if when we ever have moments of, oh shit, like this is nothing, every single thing I'm doing is stupid because I'm not seeing any like results right now or any big plays right now. I mean, just read Shoe Dog, because it took him 13 years before he became something, and it was like 13 years. He started Blue Ribbon when he was 30-ish. So it was like Nike didn't come into play until he was in his mid-40s, I believe. I could be fucking that up, but I want to say I'm pretty spot on.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
Damn.
That's crazy.
Yeah. No, that is. I'm reading it right now. Actually, I'm first couple chapters in right now. Yeah.
He gets to go through another Andy book with a bunch of underlines.
Yeah. There's all kinds of great
I
stuff.
write in my books.
I like bracket stuff. Just keep swimming. You're like, absolutely, Andrew. Gotta keep swimming.
I wish it was easier to like write in books because that just slows me down. That's like my biggest. Like I want to underline because you like there's so much content in a book that it's impossible to retain it all. But it's just it slows you down so much to write things. And
so what I try to do, and I'm not great at it, but I try is underline something and write 2 to 4 words about why I underlined it. And then when I'm done with the book, I will create a Word document and I will bracket every single thing I have underlined into a Word document and put the page number and then expand upon those 4 words. So then I know, I never have to go back to Shoe Dog to figure out why I thought this book was so dope. I can just go to my Word doc and then type in Nike, and then it'll take me to the 5 times that it said Nike, and I had some resonating moment with it.
That's dedication.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Have you actually done that?
Yeah, I've done it with this book called Essentialism, which is the disciplined pursuit of less, which I thought was dope. And then a couple Buddhism books that when I was super into Buddhism in college, I had a Buddhism phase.
You had a Buddhism stint.
So zenful over here.
Andy Zen, dude.
Yeah.
That was his currency.
Yeah. But yeah, that's what I try to do.
Zen.
That's legit, dude.
Yeah. All right, Ty, what did you learn?
I learned that to things like this podcast or my podcast or just a bunch of things that we do that don't always have a direct ROI, that to the people who it should matter to, it will matter. And I think I brought this up a little bit ago, a couple episodes ago, on the back end show about you guys, when you were explaining the back pocket, and you always find yourself getting in the weeds when you explain it to people, and it's most people just want headlines of what the back pocket is, but to the people that really care about what it is and are invested in it, what you say will matter to them, you know. And I've come across that, and shout out Mile Biggs. I remember when I was on his podcast, Relish the Journey, he asked me if I had run into anything where people were just haters, basically, was his question. Have you run into any haters with the podcast? I'm no, I hadn't yet, and it was still pretty early on. But coming around to doing another season, or just doesn't have to be the podcast. Just I do some work for free, and I do for example, the back pocket and stuff. And I'm starting to pick up vibes from friends or just people around me that they question why I do this or why I do my podcast, and they're kind of they start by questioning it, and then they get just kind of sometimes just a little mean about it, and they're that's kind of dumb that you do that, basically, is the ethos of what they say. And it was affecting me a little bit for a while of not me thinking oh, it is dumb, but me thinking why do they think it's dumb? Why don't they like it?
Do they have a point?
Do they have a point? The whole reason I'm doing this is so the whole reason I'm doing podcasts so other people will like it. The whole reason I'm doing something like the back pocket is so I can make my skills more marketable, so that other people see value in the experiences that I have. And so it was what is the point, sort of a thing. But then I thought kind of back to the conversation that we had about to the people that it should matter to, it will matter to. And the most clear cut thing I can think about is my podcast. So whenever I never talk about my podcast to people, you guys talk about it a ton. You could talk to very many of my friends, and they'd be oh, he has a podcast. They don't know. And that's on purpose, because I think my podcast is, unlike yours, pretty niche down on the type of person it's meant for. This season's it's meant for entrepreneurs and creatives in the Midwest, so that doesn't fit everybody. I think a lot of people, almost anybody, could listen to the Back Pocket and enjoy it. My podcast, not so much. So when someone's oh, you have a podcast, I'm yeah. And usually people are pretty nice. They're oh, what is it what is it about? And I kind of explain it, and they're oh. And I'm I always have to say if you don't want to listen to it, you don't have to listen to it just because you're my friend or something. It's basically, it's not meant for you. It's it's not meant for you to enjoy it. And I always have to bring myself back to that of just because they have to say oh, this is a dumb podcast, maybe in content or maybe just in concept of me spending time on it, I have to remind myself well, it's not meant for everybody, and it's maybe not meant for them. It's something that I always have to remember, there is a point to me doing it. I know why I'm doing it, and what other people say, the people that I'm not making it for, that's an invalid opinion in my mind. Maybe there's some validity there, but it's invalid from the standpoint of that's not the reason I'm doing it, and that's not the person I'm doing it for.
You don't need to spend your time pleasing the people that aren't going to be pleased by it regardless.
Yeah, and I struggle. Like, I don't even know if it's about like a pleasing thing, because I try not to be like a people pleaser. Like, I try to just stick to what I like to do and try to do that. But there probably is an aspect of that. I think for me too, it's just like we talked about burnout, but when you do stuff that doesn't have an ROI to it, that doesn't have like a direct return, it's you find yourself like asking those questions, and it just never helps when other people are asking the same questions that you are, and you're like, shit, like maybe they do have a point, maybe I have a point, maybe like all this stuff doesn't matter, and like maybe there's no reason for me doing it. But you just have to cancel all that out, and it's so hard to do, but it's something that like I've just made myself do recently.
Good. I love that, man. It's like, think about how you're like actively practicing that, and like you're making something that you enjoy that's ultimately for the service of others. Like you mentioned, like, I want to make this podcast so that in the hopes that other people listen to it.
Right.
That specific person is a specific person.
Yeah.
But like, think about that whole like journey in itself. Like, we run into this situation all the time. Like, the journey of like being constantly challenged on what you're doing that you love so much, and you are in times probably failing to justify it, or maybe you're at the next roadblock or the next just thing that is just like you haven't solved it yet. Like, that constant like process will make you a better person.
Yeah.
It will just mold you into this freaking David Beckham looking dude.
Yeah.
And it's awesome.
Yeah.
Like that. I mean, we do it all. We try to do it all the time, and it's that constant reminder of like, always challenge yourself. Every day you have a chance to win, and just keeping that humble mindset, man.
Yeah. And it always seems like a bit paradoxical too, because when you consider like, so somebody says, oh, you have a podcast, and to them maybe they're like, oh, it's stupid, you're wasting your time on it. Like, it's like, oh, they just have a little podcast. But for you guys, for example, they don't see all the work that goes into it. They don't see the whole setup all the time. And you try to explain that to them, and you're like, but look, it's more than just like me with a microphone up in my room just talking about whatever. It's more than that. But to them, it doesn't even matter. So like, to the whole point of like you trying to explain it to them because they think that it's not anything, like, that should just be all cast aside anyways, because you're just going to keep trying to feed yourself in this loop of like the people that are skeptical, you want to explain yourself more to, but they don't believe in it anyway. So there's going to be no point to try to explain it. And it's like, you get caught up in these loops of like trying to please people. And it shouldn't happen, because it's just, there's no point to it, because you know why you do it, and that's why you should be doing it.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
But it gets tiring trying to.
Yeah.
It gets tiring, and that's all that needs to be said. And that's why I want the feel-good story. And this was going to be my feel-good story from the get-go, and I'm stoked that you led me in this way. I'm thankful for you guys. Like, no joke. Both of you have been super dedicated to something that is hopefully bigger than ourselves. And that's the intention behind it. We're not trying to change the world. We're not trying to create something that's never been done, but we're just doing something that we care about, and we show up and we do it. And we care about it and we do it. And that's the only reason why we continue to come here from 6 o'clock. You showed up today at like 5:40, and it's now 9 o'clock. And you had a long day at internship, and you're getting ready for school. Deck, you woke up at 4 this morning, and it's 9 o'clock right now. And we chose to do this with our past 3 hours. And I think that's the fucking coolest thing. And I'm thankful for both of you, because this is all that I want to do for the next 3 hours. And sometimes I'm like, all right, I don't want it to go too long because Ty is going to get like antsy. He's got to get somewhere to go. I don't want to go too long because Deck's got to get to bed and get started for tomorrow. I don't want it to go too long because I have to turn and burn this thing for Thursday to get it out to everyone. But in reality, all I want to do is sit right here and have this conversation for as long as possible. But I know it's not the best content, so we got to wrap it up at some point.
Yeah, we got to be disciplined.
We got to be disciplined.
Yeah.
But it's freaking sweet that we have each other. So when we are feeling long and we are feeling tired, you got a couple guys over here that are always ready to help pick you up. When you are feeling exhausted and you've been punched in the face for waking up wicked early and being packed with your day because you want to do all this dope shit, and you're tired, and Andy asks you a stupid question, and you roll your eyes, for fuck's sake, and you give him the answer and say, I'm going to bed. You got someone over here to be like, hey, buddy, way to kill it today.
Thanks.
And that's pretty cool that we got each other in a realm where we're speaking kind of out to people.
Pretending that we have
a little audience right here.
Audience.
We got each other, always.
Fuck yeah, dude.
That's the feel-good story.
That was amazing. I love you, dude.
Yes.
I love you. And I love
you.
Everybody that's, tuned in this long and who's listened to any of us you get the point, dude. I'm at a loss of words because of how fucking powerful that was.
It blows my mind that people listen to this, like especially this episode. Like when you guys tell me like this is consistently one of your better listened to, like it's insane. Like I'm like, who cares about me?
You never. That's the thing, right? You never think about who's listening when you were having this conversation.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Man, next week we have Dad Book, which is very exciting.
Long anticipated.
A long anticipated guest. We've known him for over a year.
I think we flipped it. We're going Jay Christensen because this is this Thursday, and on Monday we're releasing Dad Book, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So this is the podcast for Thursday,
mm-hmm.
and we just had on Dad Book for Monday. Correct. You said
Holy shit.
You wanted to turn and burn that.
Oh yeah. Good point. Jay Christensen.
Dad Book was great.
Dad Book was great though.
Mm-hmm.
Dad Book was a phenomenal time. Have we recorded it? You'll find out.
And we haven't recorded our next Tuesday show. Who is it going to be?
Molly Hale?
No, that's released on
one.
Tuesday.
Oh,
we got another one this week.
Maggie Kendall, the professional wake surfer.
What?
Right?
Okay.
Yeah. That's her.
How do you want to flip those two?
You know what, guys? Doesn't fucking matter. We have podcasts every Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. You're listening to the Back End Show on Thursday.
It's an infinite game.
It's an infinite game. Exactly. Just make sure you keep listening. Find one that's interesting. Scroll through it, and just wherever your phone lands.
It's like a roulette wheel.
A roulette wheel, and click on it. Or just obviously DM us. Ask us for a good episode. We'd be happy to point you in the right direction. Regardless. Truly, 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 we love you guys. Take care.
Take care.
Take care.
I've been